Thanks to everyone for joining us today. My name is Christine McDowell, and I'll be your host for the session today. I'm the Marketing Director at Fresh Legacy, and there are many reasons why I'm thrilled to be part of this session today. As we've spent many years working with developers, we've seen a lot of change over the years, and in particular, the business needs that have been changing and the developers and how they're being asked to do so much more with a lot less today. So there's a huge demand for developers to reduce the cost, but they still have to maintain the code quality in the process. And so the question is, how do developers deliver more code, modernize for their business, and modernize their applications, and respond to business needs at lower costs and still produce a good quality deliverable, which is what's expected. And so for sure, we can do it working harder, working longer hours, but what about working smarter? And so in this session, we're going to show you what we mean by working smarter with a new way of developing and managing your IBM I applications. So I'm very excited today to introduce the speakers that are with us, not only because of their incredible technical skill, but for how passionate they are about what they do. These guys really push the status quo, and they're always the first ones to say there has to be a better way. And the solution that we're showing to you today is really a result of a group of people, really talented people that have done that. They've pushed the status quo, and they've produced something that's really, truly fantastic for IBM I developers. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Wim Jongman, who's the CTO of Remain Software. Wim has dedicated his entire career to the development of innovative ALM solutions and making life for developers easier. Wim is also an avid open source enthusiast and is a project lead and committer in various Eclipse projects. On a personal note, so I think it's important to kind of understand a little bit about the guys behind the presentation today. When he's not busy developing tools for IBM I, Wim's spending time with his family, playing the harmonica, enjoying a game of squash, and contributing to the Eclipse open source community. So he's a busy guy. So we really Thanks, Wim. We really appreciate you being here today. And I'd also like to introduce you to Ray Everhart. And Ray has also dedicated the majority of his career to helping IBM I companies by assessing their applications and processes and really helping them to improve IT. And as product manager for X Analysis at Fresh Legacy, he works closely with IBM I customers to really understand their business goals and technical needs to drive innovation within the product suite. And on a personal note with Ray, when he's not working with IBM I customers or the endless requests he gets from me in marketing, Ray enjoys spending time with his family and searching for the recipe for the perfect cappuccino to share with his wife. Very nice, Ray. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Ray. Let Ray take it over.
Great, thank you, Christine. So using tools is a key strategy in helping developers to more quickly produce high-quality solutions and to respond to business needs in today's workplace. So today we're going to show how 3 different tools that are built on the Eclipse framework can work together seamlessly. They can increase productivity for the developer and improve the quality of the delivered solution. So today's presentation will be a life in the day of a developer. And so we're going to have a dialogue going back and forth. And while we can't show everything that any one of these 3 tools can do in the time allotted, we're going to try to give you a highlight of what that interaction might look like. So before we get started on that, though, we wanted to take a moment just to better understand the audience and gain a better understanding of what kind of tools you're using right now, what kind of development environment. So we've put together a little poll here and would love to have you vote on that. Okay, so we will let this go for just another couple of seconds. Okay, still a few more results coming in. Okay, great. Well, let me take just a minute and show this poll so that everyone else can see what this looks like. I'm going to go ahead and close it, and we'll share the results. Okay, so this lets us see just how many people are currently using an IDE and which version of it that they're using. And I'm glad to see that the majority are all on version 9 of RDI, because that has a lot of good stuff, and we're going to cover some of that today. So great. All right, so let's move on. Okay, so in this scenario, we will go ahead, and I'm going to ask Vim to go ahead and pull up his screen, and then we can begin.
All right. Hello, Ray.
All right. Hey, Vim. Did you see the email I sent to you with a change request?
Yes, I saw something floating by, but let's just check. This one you mean, right?
That's correct.
Okay, let me go into this.
So we have a webinar coming up, and I found out when I went to put in email addresses that they won't all fit. So this is going to have to be a high priority issue, but
Right.
I need to know how long this thing is going to take.
Okay, you already assigned it to me, I see. Thank you for that. Context maintenance problem. Okay, so email address too short. Please take a look at it. See attachment. So let's take a look. Okay, so yeah, this is our front end of our change management system, where we manage our tickets and our projects. Let me take a look at your screen here. Ah, you do it from the green screen. You know we have a web UI already for this, right?
Yes, but this is what I remember from the past. So.
Right. Okay, yeah, I can see what the problem is. Okay, so let's move this one through our workflow, and let's start working on it. Okay, so now it's in working mode, and I guess we are now going to move this to our change management system. So by creating a change request, I'm going to move it to the working stage, and in that process, the change request will be created in our IDE, which is Eclipse. Okay, so I was just busy fixing something else, Ray. Let's see. Let's take a look at the change request. Okay, here it is. All right. Okay, so this is your change request. Excellent. Let's take another look at our screenshot here. All right. Okay, clear. So this is the contact maint program.
That's correct.
All right. So I guess I have to drop everything.
So how long do you think? How long do you think before you'd be able to start work on this?
Well, I don't know, Ray. Maybe you can help me figure this out for me. So, but first, let's take a look at my schedule, because I am working on some stuff already. Let's see. So if I pop up my planning view with all my tasks currently in development, you can see that I'm working on this A3 resizing project. So what do you want me to do? High priority. Do you want me to drop this, or?
Well, is there something you could give to one of the other developers?
I guess I thought Hans was looking pretty happy, so I think he's finished early. Let me take a look at his schedule. All right, so yeah, so he's starting tomorrow on this one. So I guess I can move that particular task to him. Do you want me to do that?
That would be great.
All right, so let me get back to my development task then. And I'm going to move this one. Okay, I hope he's happy with this. Okay. It's a demo effect. Let's try that again. Okay, that's better. Okay, so this is now Hans, so I can move this one a little bit to the back, start on it on Monday to make room for our task, for our new task, right? Okay, so let's continue with this then. So I'm going to take that change request, and we're going to create a new task for this. Fix email address length. All right. Oh, I forgot to make it high priority. Okay, clear this. All right, Ray. So it was this contact maintenance program, right?
That's correct.
So how do you want to start this? So let me just pull that one up. Contact maintenance. Here it is.
So how big of an impact is it going to be to make this change?
Right, so let's want to see the data flow diagram.
That would be great.
Okay, so can you tell us a little bit about this data flow diagram array?
Well, the data flow diagram shows all of the input that comes into a program and all of the programs that are all of the tables that are updated as a result of the program, and it shows you where what programs are called from this program. So this lets you see in a snapshot all of the objects that are affected by this this particular program. So we're looking for the source of the data on this screen. So
yeah, so I see here contact maintenance. This is the contacts file. So this is a suspect. Let's take a look at its attributes. Right, there's the email field.
okay.
What do we want to do?
Well, what does the screen look like on this this program? Can we see if there's room to add it and
Yeah.
what that would look like?
Yeah, okay. So clicking on this contact main and opening our screen report design. So this is a snapshot of the screen as generated by X-Analysis. Yes, there is some room in the bottom of the screen, so we can move that this group we can move down, and then we can extend this email address. So it's now I don't know exactly how long is it. Want to take a look at the source of the contacts file?
Yes, that would be great. We also need to find out how many other places that field is used.
Right, okay. Right, here we have this context file. This is the DDS source. We should really also move this to SQL array.
That's a great idea, but
not today.
not this time.
Okay. So this is the source code view. We can also take a look at the file specifications view that gets rid of all the comments and the line numbers and stuff like that. So email, 40 positions. What do you say we make it 80 positions?
I think that's a great idea.
Okay, so then we have to find out, Ray, who is using this email address, right?
That's correct.
I'm going to do a little drill down on it. Okay, so there are two context menus here. This one is telling us where this particular database field is being used. So this is, I think, the one that we want to see. And here is this variable we used is where all alike fields are being analyzed. So if email is also in some other file, we should also see it there. I want to start with this file field we used.
Yes, let's start with that one, and then we can, after we get this change made, we can go back and look if that if there's a similar field anywhere else in the system.
Okay. All right. So here is the level 1 of this filter array, and this means that it shows you all the direct accesses of this field.
Okay, great. So that looks like it's just a few programs, so we should be able to do that relatively quickly.
Yes, but I also, you see that that email is now here moved in a field called Z email. So do you want to track that Z email as well?
Yes, let's dig a little deeper.
Okay, so now I'm taking level 2, where the work fields and the references of this field are also included in level 2. Oh yeah, now I can see that Z-email is used in this contact maintenance display. That's the one that we want to change. Hey, but Ray, I also see here a new file. Names IDX. Oh, this has a different definition, 50. I don't know who was programming this, but I think we have to fix this also in this
Right.
run. Right.
Yeah, we need to make those consistent.
Right. So we want to see the references of the references?
Yes, let's go even further.
Right. Okay. So that looks great. I think we got it, Ray.
Okay. So
Okay.
how do we get all of these programs checked out and start working?
Right. Well, what I see 2 files. I see the names index here, and I see contacts. So I guess when we take the reference from those 2 files, we are good. Do you want to take a quick peek at other uses of email?
Sure. Let's do a variable where used on the email and see if there are any other programs that have a field named email.
Yeah, so what we did just now is we only tracked the field in that database file, but what we are doing now is we're finding all references of email, also when they are in other files. And yes, of course, Ray, what you see, I suspected it already, there's this general info email address already in the also in the customer file.
Okay, so we'll have to create another task to do that on another pass.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Okay, so let's then only focus on our files. All right. So well, what we can do quickly here, Ray, is this is where we see all the files. But what we can do is we can open another view, impact analysis, where we see where we can find, let's say, a global overview of this contacts file usage. Okay, so here we have contacts with all its direct dependencies. Okay, I see here some files using this one directly that didn't appear in our list, so they are using the file, so they need to be recompiled at least. And I also see a reference to a DLL, so the Windows people are also using this file. You want to make an impact analysis of this whole file?
Yes.
Okay, let's do that. So this is drilling down in all the dependencies. So first the logicals, then from the logicals the programs that they are using, and from the programs some of the files that they are using. Okay, so I have a display file here and contact maintenance. Okay, so yeah, this and the contact maintenance detail is over here. So this is what we would be looking at, Ray. I think it's a doable solution. Do we want to attach this?
Yes, let's go ahead and do this. So we'll have a couple programs to maintain, and then a few more that will have to be just recompiled.
Right. Okay. So let's take a look here. So I have my contacts file. I have clicked my task, and I right-click and I say change management, connect with rules. Okay. So this is connecting the whole family, and we also want to do it for the index file. I don't know if this is used a lot, but I think it's only a work file for this program. But anyway, let's also attach this one. Okay, so yeah, we see a number of components here, Ray. Let's just, for the sake of this demo and not to bore our audience a lot, let's just get rid of these components. Do you agree?
That's fine.
Okay, so we will be notified of level checks, so we cannot continue to production with this. Yeah. Okay, so I have a number of components, and let's just take those in our task. So what I will do, I will click here, click there, and now all the components are checked. And Ray, a green bar is good. So if the bar gets red, it means that that other developers already have one of these components in their task. It's not something that we cannot handle. Obviously, concurrent development is really important, but we need to be notified. But we're good, Ray. We're green.
Great.
Okay, so now it is sitting in production. We just attached all these components, and they're ready to be checked out. So of course we can do this quickly by saying checkout, but let's take a little bit longer path, where we first check if all the components have not been tampered with. So everybody is all components are still fine as we have left them. Then do we want to do it through emergency, or let's take normal development?
Let's take the normal development path.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So that at least somebody can look at it. Right. Okay. So we're running our checks. Everything is fine, and this is the proposed solution, this is the proposed target. We're going to move the files to the demo to the development data libraries. The sources are going to the source library, and the other objects are going to the object library. Yeah, a typical traditional separation of these libraries. Right, done. So this includes copying the components. If you want, also recompiling. We didn't do that at this stage. Database conversion, authority settings, and everything associated with that. So here's our set array. Let's take a look first at our context file. So because we are running in RDI, and you can see here the golden triangle: Remote System Explorer, X-Analysis, and TDOMS. When I double-click on this file, yeah, the system will know that the Remote System Explorer is installed, and will open the LPEX editor. Okay, well, okay, there it is. Okay, I need to wake up. Okay, here it is. So here's our file, email. What do you say, Ray? 80?
Yes, 80 would be great.
Okay, excellent. So this is this one, and then I also have my index file, which is here. This is 50. It's kind of weird, Ray. It should also be 40, but anyway. Fixed now.
Okay.
Right. So the one thing that we know that we need to fix is this contact maintenance display. So let's do that straight away. Here it is. Well, let me just double-click the title to go full screen. Yeah, you see there's plenty of room below. So let me just make some room here. One page down, okay. And yes, what I also noticed, Ray, and which we should really fix is that it is using a direct, that it uses a direct field length, but we should really be using a reference. Mm-hmm. But for now, let's just take it as it was and move it 80. We can change that later on, or maybe we get blocked by our peer that will hopefully notice this when he's doing the peer review and say, listen, you have to reference a database file instead of coding your length directly. Happy with the screen, Ray?
That looks good.
Okay, so let's compile our stuff. So I'm going to close these. And I'm going to open my build queue. And also a tip, people, if you are using RDI, always take a look at the show in menu. It's most of the time tucked away as last menu option, but it shows you where the selection can be used. So I can see show in, and then I can see all these views where this particular selection can be used in. And here is our build queue. So let's open this. Okay, this is our build queue. Let's just add all the components from our task to this queue. They are waiting to be released. I just want to do some checking here. Okay, I see 2 of my physical files, a number of logicals, our display, and then we have our program. So yeah, let's just release this queue.
Okay, while you're doing that, I'd like to take another opportunity to poll the audience. So I'm going to launch a poll here because what we're curious about is how confident you are that you'll be able to find all of the things that need to be changed and tested in a scenario like this one. We'll give this poll just a couple minutes to run.
It's a good moment for me to play a little song, but I won't do it.
Okay, I think we're just about done voting. Okay, so we'll go ahead and close the poll here. Just to see how confident people are in their understanding of the system. That's a pretty good indication of how confident people are. And I would assume that that's because some people are using tools, but we'll get into that a little bit later. So great. Thank you, Wim. Go ahead and continue.
Okay. So we have problems with the files compiled fine, but we have problems with 2 of our programs. So let's take just another beautiful gem of RDI, which is the error view. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to my task again, and I'm right-clicking and asking RSE to pop up the error list for this particular program. And what it says here is the list of problems. Okay, so the length of the input field does not match. So let's take a look. I'm double-clicking the line, and it will open the source for me. And let's see. Okay, I can see the problem. The compiler is a little bit confused because he thinks the problem is in this area, but actually it's here, where the email field is redefined to 40 positions. I don't really have a clue why this is. Ray, do you think maybe we can just get rid of this?
Is that field used anywhere else in the program?
Well, it's coming from the file, right? So yeah, we can use it in a data structure, but it doesn't really help us.
Right. So then, yeah, go ahead and get rid of that.
Yeah, okay, so I'm just closing this one. Right, let me just quickly compile it from the LPEX editor. So what you see here is what TDOMS is actually doing in the back. So it's executing your predefined compile commands and doing all the pre and post and pre-compile and post programs. Here we tell Xanalysis to update its database. So let's just run this compile. After this compile is ready, it will immediately refer the error list so that we can see if it was successful, and it was. Okay, so this one is now okay. You can tick that one off the list, and then we also have our contact maintenance program. So let's see what the problem with this one is. Right, okay. Ray, what's this?
Well, it looks like there's something. Can you check the header spec on this program to see if somebody's put some compile time options in there? Because
yeah.
Okay, we have a data edit code.
All right, so let's maybe I remember. I think when you do some date arithmetic, you have to not compile with convert date compile option. So let's take a look at the compile options of this particular program. Show in compile. Okay, so there is no override compile, and what it is doing here, it is using the datetime conversion option, which cannot be done when you use this kind of construct. So we have to make an override for this compile. So let's do that. So what I will do, I will plus here to make an override for this particular program. And it is doing that for all applications, all environments, and all libraries. So this enables developers to make a compile override just for development, to put in some source debugging and whatnot, while the normal compile commands are being used further in test and quality assurance and all that. So let's take a look here. Here we have all our compile instructions. Now we can prompt this one. So let's do that, and let's get rid of our datetime. Okay, so now we have an overridden compile for this particular program. So let's launch that in the queue. So I select it here. Let me just get rid of this one. Done it. So the contact maintenance, and then I can do it from the from this queue, of course, or from this LPEX editor, but I can also release it in the queue. Okay, so Ray, and one last thing I was thinking about, maybe we could include a special routine to make sure that the email address is correct. So what I can do, I can copy a new routine here, a new subroutine that says check email. Do you think we have time for this? Fix this, or shall I finish this later?
Maybe we can finish that a little bit later.
Right, okay. So let's see what's in our queue. Okay, contact maintenance, so let me compile it one more time. Okay. Oops. Yep, there it is. Okay, you can also see that we have special statements where if a compile fails, you can prompt send an email or do whatever after a wrong compiled program. Okay, so this is okay, Ray. I leave this in for now, this empty routine. Do you want to do our code review?
Yes, let's go ahead and walk through that.
Okay, so here I have this contacts file. So let's just take a look at that. So here we changed this field from 40 to 80 positions. That's the only change in this file.
Very good.
Agreed?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the contacts API. Let's see. 2.1. Let's see if this is the one that. Yep. Okay. So here is our change.
Great.
Commented this out, and then we have our contact maintenance where we added this additional screen. And let's see, compare it with 20. This one. Okay, so here we have this additional subroutine. Okay, that's the only thing changed here, and we have created an additional compile option. And by the way, you have to, as the boss, you have to go into the compile option and authorize that this is a valid compile, right? Because somebody made an override of a compile command, and you have to authorize this one.
Okay.
So let's see, the last one that we actually made a change, or that we're going to look at then anyway, is our screen, where we can see that we have moved, changed it to 80 positions, and we have moved the lines. Those are the changes.
Okay, that looks great.
Peer review completed. You're happy?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
So let's move on to the code review.
All right. Okay. So the code review. What was that again?
I'm sorry.
Can you tell me what can you?
Oh, well, The code review is going to take advantage of the X-analysis capabilities to analyze the code and look for problem patterns that we've identified. So anything that we determine we want to keep from being promoted into production will be picked up and will prevent it from being promoted. So running the code review will give us a report of those any conditions that it finds.
Right. Okay, so it will not allow me to put this in test because there are unused subroutines, or are we still a little bit in the relaxed rules mode?
Well, because of the urgency, I guess we can let it go on this.
Right.
But yeah, we need to make a note and create a task to update that subroutine.
Yes. Okay. So what we can check here is okay, this unused subroutines. This is one of the mildest problems, obviously. We can block usage of go-tos. We can prevent large code blocks or really deep if-then-else structures. So all this, what we call static code analysis, is done straight after the compile, and it can help you guard your code quality. Of course, it's not mandatory, right? You don't have to use it. Maybe just in the beginning for fun and entertainment, and then later on you can use it more seriously to really, let's say, enforce high-quality code together with stuff like peer review. All right. So, Ray, it is not really integrated in the tool at the moment, but you know, I just installed RDI 9.5 on my computer, and it has just a really nice code coverage feature. Do you want me to show you how that works?
Yes, I would like to see what that looks like.
Right. Okay. So first of all, I must also tell you that we have not been in the Remote System Explorer, right, during this demo. And what we really try to do is we try to hide the Remote System Explorer as much as possible without, of course, disallowing people to go there, right? It's like the power tool for your whole IBM I. But of course, you want your change management tool to be in control and then use the features of the Remote System Explorer. So typically, what you would normally do to launch the code coverage is go to Remote System Explorer, find your program. And what we have done is we have created a view that will get that for you. So here we have this contacts API that we will use for our code review. For our code coverage. And code coverage really, Ray, is you test your program, and the code coverage shows you on which lines have been tested, which permutations has been tested. So it gives you a really a good visual overview of what you have actually been testing. So let's pop this up in the Remote System Explorer artifacts view. So if I click any of the components of X-analysis or TDOMS, it will get the equivalent Remote System Explorer components. So here I have my contacts API, and I'm just going to do code coverage. So I'm going to call it in prompt, in batch mode. It can update production files. How to start is by calling this program, but I'm passing a specific parameter that this program requires. Right. And what else can we specify? We can specify if we want to generate a PDF report of the code, of this code coverage. So let's just run this. So it's running it in batch, and then it is checking every line that has been visited by this specific invocation of the call. Okay, yeah. Let's see. Okay. Let's see if we can find our code coverage view. Yes, I have been having a little bit of trouble getting it right, but I've run it before. So here's our contacts API. as you can see, it has with a specific run, it has a code coverage of 66%, which is below our requirements. Okay, so we have stated that the code coverage should be 80%, and at this point it is not that part. But I only called it in one permutation with one parameter, and really to test it correctly, I have to call the API in write, update, and read mode, and I only call it in update mode. So if I generate a report for this, it will place it here, and let's see. Okay, well, yeah, it's already exists, but all right, so here is our report. It is really meant to run as a couple of programs, right? It's not really meant to run only one. It can do it, but then yeah, it has a page for all programs. You can see there's only one, but it's really meant to let's say do a real integration test and then show you what actually has been touched. And if I then drill down here, I can actually see the lines of code. So I called it with a new, and here we have this select statement. This has been finished. This has been visited. When action is D, this has been visited, and this is really what has been executed. And Ray, I have to be honest, I cheated a little bit to get a little bit more coverage, but you can see the result of this test. What do you think about that?
That's great.
That's
so
great.
as we develop our test cases, then we'll be able to verify not only that we've changed everything, but that we've tested all of the results as well.
Yes, exactly.
Wonderful.
Yes, and the next thing in our product obviously will be right-click and code coverage the whole task, and that is for our upcoming release. So yeah, we're really anxious to get this integrated in our suite as well.
Great.
All right, so ready to move to test?
Yes.
Okay, let's do that. Okay. Ray, remember the programs that we skipped?
That's correct.
Well, it's coming back to bite us. So it will not allow us to go test because it says, well, you forgot references. So references for these files are not on our task, so a no-go. Luckily, I'm the lead programmer, so I can override. At least I move it to test, but I will not be able to put this in production. But let's just get this to test, and this gives me a good opportunity to go to our ALM workflow solution here, our front end, and say fixed. Bam. Always nice to do this. And then let's advance this through the workflow and move it to finished. Right. So we can now, from this point, move it to reopened if it's not okay. Or we can move it later to documentation if we want to include this in the release notes, but I don't think that this fix is really for that, but maybe it is. I let other people decide this. But this is our wonderful Ray.
Great, great. So that is a demonstration of what the unified workflow can do and how it can work in an environment where you're working within the same desktop. Let's switch back to the slide deck if we could.
Oops, where is it?
So the point that we're hoping that we can convince you of here is that an integrated development environment is radically going to change the way you work. I'd like you to think back what it was like before the introduction of the desktop computer and office productivity tools, and how you would interact with other people in the office, the things you would have to do to communicate without things like we have now. So imagine what your development efforts would be if you have that same level of productivity that office tools have brought to the desktop environment. So there are all kinds of other possibilities for how we can implement this. There's all kinds of other workflows that can be brought into this. It's really up to you to decide what kind of things that that would make your development process even better. So we have some next steps here for you to move on to. So considering everything that you've seen and heard today, what are your next steps? What are you going to do? So what I would like you to think about is, what is the following, the answer to the following question, and when you respond to requests that are driven by business needs, what is the biggest challenge you face that keeps you from delivering the value in a timely way to the business? Is it the time you're spending understanding the impact of the change? Is it the challenge of how do I maintain this and modernize it at the same time? How do I make my application better so that the next time my maintenance is even easier? Is your biggest challenge knowing what has to be tested or how to test it? Are you having a problem keeping track of all the changed objects and making sure they arrive on the production machine and that all the changes get implemented correctly? Once you know what your biggest challenge is, that's where you need to start. You need to listen and hear how other people have solved it, find out what tools and techniques are available out there to help you. You need to learn what's possible and what kind of things that you can do. I recommend that you try it out for yourself. Once you've done some research, you find out what things are available out there, try it for yourself. There are a lot of tools that are available on a trial basis, and there's nothing like hands-on experience to help you with that or to do a proof of concept with them. I would just let you know that these are some pretty amazing and powerful tools, and there will be a learning curve. So don't get frustrated if it takes you a little longer than you think at first. But once you know what's possible, then you need to create a plan of how you're going to implement these tools, how you're going to implement these techniques, and what you can do to move your company forward. Incremental steps is the best way to go. And if there's anything that we can do to help you, or if there's you'd like to have some additional information, please feel free to reach out to either Vim or myself, and we would love to continue the discussion with you. We've got a few minutes left, and we would love to be able to answer any questions if anyone has them. You could post those in the chat window of the webinar control panel. I don't see that we have any at this point. Okay, well, if anyone has any questions, they can feel free to reach out to us at another time.
Sorry, I was muted. There are some questions.
Oh, okay. I don't see them on my screen.
Yeah. So let me quickly. Can you see it on the screen or? Okay. So well, I don't think you can. But anyway, let me just. Is this a part of RDI currently, or is this an add-in? So. The tools that you have been looking at are let's say for 66%, for 33% are already part of RDI, which is the Remote System Explorer, and the X-Analysis and TDOMS are the other two parts, and that is what we have been showing you. So yes, those are add-ins or additions to RDI. Another question from Kevin Gilder, and this is for you, Ray. It says, do you have any facility to identify embedded SQL in RPG3? Otherwise, you can't use program references to determine file usage.
So the answer to that is yes. We do detect SQL usage by examining the source code. So we look at not only the object references, but we look at the source code, and we deconstruct the source code and look for any references within SQL.
All right. Then there's this other question from Cliff Russell. Does TDOMS work with CA2E? The answer is yes. We have a complete interface with CA2E that is on the model level. So if you want to do, if you want to manage the sign-on model objects, we can do that with TDOMS. We can even move from model to model if that is required. But we have an advanced interface with CA2E, which can also be operated from RDI. And of course, you cannot edit CA2E from RDI at the moment, but otherwise, all management is integrated. We have a module for that.
And I would add also that XAnalysis does have a module that will read directly from the model, and we'll use that information to facilitate the impact analysis as well.
So there's another question from Kevin Gilder. Will this all work with RPG3 and DDL? Yes, it does. It will.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so here is another interesting question from Kevin. This is only affordable for large development teams. Can a small company with 5 developers afford this? The answer to that is also yes. So we have, indeed, it has been, the solutions are comprehensive, but we will never forget where we also came from, and that is from a startup. We have special packs for smaller companies. So you can even start with a 3-user pack at a very affordable rate. Okay, another question is, can the XAnalysis use defect information from previous changes and use it for its analysis?
The history of defects is kept, as well as the we have a module of XAnalysis that performs auditing. In fact, that's the same module that does the defect reporting. When it does its analysis, it goes out and keeps track of how complex it is with a number of different industry standard measurements. And the problems are also detected so that you can keep track of how many different conditions exist in your code over a period of time.
All right, so there's another question about CA2E. Is there a possibility to integrate with it? Yes, it is, most definitely. Okay. Will this webinar be made available?
Christine, I believe the plans were to make that available. Is that correct?
Absolutely. The webinar will be made available after.
Okay, then another question from Kevin. Do we have a source merge function? Yes, we do. So the same screen where you saw the compare, it is also can also be used to merge the sources. If you have really complicated merge requirements, for example, if you want to merge, let's say, if you want to retrofit from, let's say, BPix versions to another BPix version, and you want to retrofit whole libraries and compare and merge those, we also have a solution for that.
And within XAnalysis, we can do comparisons between 2 different sets of programs to show you what the differences are, which objects have changed, and track that down to the source level as well.
And another question for you, Ray. Can field variable references be found in stored procedures?
Yes, we do go through and find the usage of variables in stored procedures.
All right, and then another CA Plex. Yes, it also a question from Jim Mitchell. The previous question, by the way, is from Larry Pulmano. Thank you, Larry, for the question. And Jim asks, does it work with CA Plex as well? Yes, we have TDOMS at least also has an interface with CA Plex. where you can manage the components that are generated by CA Plex and move them through the workflow. So we have an interface that inquires the model and finds all the generated stuff and attaches that to tasks and moves that through the workflow.
At this point, X-Analysis does not scan CA Plex code.
Okay. Then a question from Joe Kempenitz. Hi, Joe. Glad you could join. The question from Joe is, will it work with Profound UI? So we don't have any, let's say, real experiences with Profound UI, but as far as I know, it is generating stuff in the IFS, and that could be, that is also supported by the change management part. And also X-Analysis is able to go through non-IBM files. Is that correct, Ray?
We're able to parse PHP code. We can parse C and .NET and Java.
Yeah. Okay. Then a question from David Phillips. Hello, David. Nice that you could make it. When will code coverage be ready? Well, code coverage is ready. I think you mean when will it be integrated with X-Analysis and TD OMS. We are working on that, so we hope to get this ready for our milestone 3, which is around common. So that would be a good aiming point. So let's just focus on that, and if that's not feasible, then we will try to have it for our version 8 release, which is I think the 30th of June. Can't remember by heart, but I think somewhere around there.
From the X-Analysis perspective, there is a module available that facilitates regression testing and unit testing. And we're working right now to make that process automatically occur, so that as part of the submission of those tests, that it would also initiate the code coverage, collect the information, and then make it available through the repository. But that's still in progress.
A question from Tim Rowe. Welcome, Tim. We're honored to have you on the webinar. And the question from Tim is, do these tools work with modern RPG like Freeform?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, of course, yes. So we showed you some RPG LE standard. The reason for this is mainly because we, as a solution provider, have to always, and this is really frustrating, always keep our development machines 1 or 2 steps ahead of the most current version, because we have to support all the customers that are on older versions. But it definitely does support all the new technologies. Do you want something to add to that, Ray?
No, we're fully capable of scanning and parsing free-format code and loading the repository with all that information.
Excellent. Okay, so how long does it take, a question from Thierry Labruni, how long does it take to implement TD OMS from scratch? 3 developers. Okay, so yes, you would say 3 developers, that means not very difficult, but that depends. So if it's really hard to say, so let's just say any implementation is done, including training. Let's say an implementation can be done including training in a week. So we have done that. So let's say 3 days training and 2 days or 2.5 day implementation. That is if you have, let's say, already standards like we're doing in development. We have our sources in known libraries. We know where to put our data. Right, so if you have all these standards already in your company as best practice, then we can do it quickly. If you develop in one big production library, it can take a little bit longer. So it depends. But I bet Cherry that we can do it in 1 week. All right, that was the last question.
Well, very good. We're at the top of the hour, a little bit past that actually. So as far as the next slide, that contains information to contact us if you have any other questions or if there's anything else that that we can help you with. The Rational Developer is available at that location for download on a 60-day trial. And if you want information about a trial of X analysis, you can contact us at info@freshlegacy.com. And that's probably all that that we have at this point. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, and I want to add also, Ray, sorry for interrupting you, is that it's not, let's say, two companies going their separate ways, but we have at Remain the capabilities of implementing X analysis, and at Fresh there is also a capability to implement the EDO OMS. So it's a one-stop. You don't have to go around companies and wanted to
That's
add
correct.
that. All right.
Okay. So the last thought that I'd like you to leave you with is that modernization is more than just changing your programs; it's changing how you write them. And hopefully you'll see the benefit of these tools and the benefit of changing how you might be doing things today to give you more productivity and more capabilities to produce quality code. After seeing what we've shown today, we have a question for you. How confident are you that your current ALM process is producing quality code? And we'll give that just a minute or two for everyone to have a chance.
Yeah, and in the meantime, I can answer Kevin Gilder's question about how long you have been partners. We have been close at the development level for over a year and a half. And we, of course, already knew each other before that. But at the development level, we have been starting a year and a half ago. Sorry, yeah.
Okay, so we've got about 42% have voted. Let me go ahead and close the poll here and show you the results. Very good. So like I said before, if there are any other questions or any questions that we can answer for you, or if you'd like to inquire further, please reach out, and we will be happy to continue the discussion. Thank you very much, Wim.
Thank you, Ray. It was a pleasure.